And I think we were the first in the firing line. Tourism and hospitality went down first. And suddenly you realize how fragile everything is.
I'm so thrilled to bring to you today's episode. I am in conversation with Chef Garima Arora. Not only is she a badass chef, she is so talented and someone that I truly love, admire, look up to. She's one of the only Indian female chefs who's got a Michelin Star. All of that aside, she is the most incredible soul that I know. I truly enjoy chatting with her. I spoke to her on season 1 of my podcast, No Sugarcoat, and I thought that this would be a great time to catch up with her and see how she's doing and coping with the pandemic and what else is happening in her life. I hope you enjoy our conversation. There's no sugarcoating here. What kind of impact has this time off had for you?
A time like this shows a lot about the people around you. When you're in a situation like this, how people react, how they come through, their initial reactions, it's an instant reflection on their thought process. And I think you see a lot about people. People you've thought of a certain way, and suddenly you think maybe that's not what they are. I think that's, for me, has been the biggest takeaway. You understand a lot about the people you surround yourself with. And I've always been the kind of person that I'm very careful with who I surround, the company I keep, because I think it has a very dramatic effect on me as a person. I cannot speak for anybody else, but I like to be surrounded by nice people, positive people, people who are honest and earnest, and always look for that quality in any relationship, professional or personal, that I have. And I think this has been one of the biggest eye-openers for me. I mean, I'm going to continue to cook. There's no other way around that. Maybe some different business practices are required. You need a stronger fallback on if something like this ever happens again. You understand the importance of liquid cash in times like these. And there's no bigger insurance than cash in the bank. So there are things that you think about, you figure out how you want to play out in the future. But I think the biggest thing is who you are surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
How are you feeling with everything else? How are you feeling about opening up, everything that's going to happen?
Like, I don't know what the right answer is right now, When this news, at least for us, was March, like about mid-March in India. I don't know. I think Bangkok was a few weeks ahead of. But I remember, Gauri from the table, we were all kind of figuring out, like, all the restaurants, like, what do we do? Do we stay open? Do we stay closed? There was like almost a thing of fear in the kitchen, right? So even when people were coming in by train, one person would sneeze and like everyone would be like, and this was just at the start of like COVID. You didn't know how it spread. You didn't know all those things. So I still remember like the first week when all this was going down, like, for us, one, it was just fear, like a lot of fear because of the unknown, you don't know what's happening. And the second was when Gauri called me and she said that, all of us are closing and we think that this is what, this is what we're going to take, this necessary, it's a necessary step. In my head, I couldn't comprehend that. Like, for 10 years, it's just been go, go, go. And I was like, no, like, we can't close. Like, so it took me, like, I had to like have this internal battle to be like, there is no other choice. Like, you just have to sort of surrender. There's no like, you have to go and try and do something. For me, it was just like, stop. So, like, what was it like for you? Like, can you take me through, when the news got to you? What were you thinking?
I think this has probably been one of the, like, a big wake-up call for all of us in this industry, that for once we've all felt helpless. We've all felt that things are not under our control. And as cooks, that's a scary feeling to have. And I think we were the first in the firing line. Tourism and hospitality went down first. And suddenly you realize how fragile everything is. And everything that you have built, giving up so much of your time, your energy, all your resources goes into building this one thing, and so easily it's taken away and there's really nothing you can do. So this helplessness that you feel is, I think, one of the first things to come to terms with. And that's, like you said, it was the same for me. just the idea of closing down was, close down and do what? Sit at home? Because
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I sat at home without a
Yeah.
job and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's never an option. You always, you have to work, you have to make a living. What else do you do? Uh,
Yeah.
Next instinct was, all right, let's do some deliveries. A
Mm.
couple of days in, I realized that no, it's not just me. I have I have a staff of 40 people. 10 of them are expats just like me. And I don't know what's going to happen. We had no information. We didn't know what the government was doing. We didn't know what the future of everything would look like. And to risk everything just because to do a couple of deliveries every day was not making sense. Everybody was
Yeah.
scared. Nobody said anything, but I could see everybody was worried for their health. And
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
employer at that point, I had to take the right call and be like, okay, no, stay at home. We'll deal with it as it happens.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
for
that.
us it was the same. Yeah, for us it was the same. Like I was telling you, you could sense fear. Like it was just so strong. And even though you have you've been socially distanced and there's enough gap between everyone and all of that, but it was just this fear that I was like, I can't come to work like this. Like we have to figure out what to do. And for me, I think like this time has really shown me. I mean, like I feel like these 3 months have changed the way I think completely. I don't think I think the same. I don't think I want to think the same. I don't think I want to go back to the way at least I used to work. I don't know if that's the case. I've never taken one day at a time so seriously as I'm doing
Yeah,
today.
right.
Like every time anyone is like, what's happening? And I'm like, literally for the
Yeah.
first time in my life, it's like one day at a time, and then maybe I'll see like a week ahead and be like, okay, this week I can do this much, but then after that I'm not sure. Like I'm really
Yeah.
like,
Suddenly what my trainer was telling me makes sense. Just take it one day at a time, one day at a time. I was like, nee, wait, abhi kam karke do. It makes sense now. He was always the wise one. I didn't listen to him.
yeah, like you said, a loss of control. um how do you talk to yourself? How do you make it through it? I know a lot of people that are going through this currently. There's also some sort of grief, right? Like the emotion that your everyone is going through, which we can't kind of deal with because your expectations are completely gone off, things that you plan. So how
Hmm.
have you dealt with that in the last 3 months? What have you developed any new practices? Were there things that you always did that you relied strongly on? Like, how have you made it through this time, and what advice would you give people?
For me, honestly, I didn't take it mentally that hard. I'll be honest. I think I took this time to. It was for me. It was a blessing in disguise in so many ways that I had this time to just completely take off from my restaurant.
Yeah.
Think about, like I said, what is it that I want from this career, from my life. I'm here away from my family, my husband, working by myself, living by myself. I have friends, sure, but you know, home is Bombay.
Mm.
Uh, so it's a big wake up call that, okay, what am I going to do? What have I been doing, and is it going towards the direction I really want things to go in? And I realized it wasn't, and so now the fact of the matter remains that I have a clean slate to start again. So if you ask me, for now, I'm actually really happy that, I could take this time and I was in a state of mental, mental frame of mind where I could use it positively, and I have used it positively. So I'm happy about it. And now it just comes down to me taking everything that I've thought and putting it into action. So just waiting for things to open up and I can get back to work and start,
Yeah.
pushing my life towards where it really needs to be for me.
What is the situation in Bangkok currently? What are most restaurants doing? Have you kind of thought of when you want to open, what the plan ahead will be?
So most restaurants, especially like the fine dine restaurants, or however you want to call them, they should be opening by the 1st of next month, and that's our target as well. Uh, but every other than that, everything is pretty much open. Spas, gyms, everything is open. Life is pretty much
The
back to normal.
spas are open?
Spas or everything is open. Life is pretty much back to normal. There's this last alcohol ban and travel ban which is in place right now. Once that is
Yeah.
lifted, then life is really 100% back to how it was. People are going out, people are eating, drinking, spending time outside. Things are positive. If you go out,
Yeah.
there are people outside.
Yeah.
People are sitting on the same table eating noodles and having their krapaus and whatnot, and
So that's
it's
actually kind of very reassuring, and that feels
Yeah.
like that actually I saw a picture today. Someone sent me a video from Paris, and they said that the cafes have opened up, and there was this whole video of like, and the cafes were like full of people, and everyone was like eating and drinking wine and all of that. And I was like, okay, this at least gives me some hope, and I feel that there is some sort of light at the end of this tunnel. Like, what are the changes that you wish this brings about in restaurants, or what are the changes that you'd like to see in like this new world, new normal that everyone talks about?
I mean, first, I can only talk from a perspective of a cook, because that's what I know a little bit about. I think it's a good time to break away from everything that we have learned about restaurants, everything that we have been passed down from a previous generation of cooks and restaurant owners. It's a time to rethink, come up with bright new ideas. And the point is that anything you do right now, any new idea you come up with, any new, concept or whatever you want to call it, you come up with, this is a great time to try it out. Because one, everybody is, rearing to get back to living life. So they're open to newer experiences. People are more forgiving now than they were probably in the past. And nobody is going to blame anybody for trying something new and different right now. So I think take this opportunity and play out the wildest ideas you've ever had, and let's see where it goes. Because if you don't do it now, there's no circumstances you were ever going to do it.
Thank you so much for doing this.
I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. Please don't forget to follow Chef Garima and visit her restaurant Ga whenever you're in Bangkok. Trust me, it's one of the best meals I've ever eaten. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.